What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Ango. Today we're going to talk about AEW All In. I did not do a post show for AEW All In, but I thought it would be a good time to talk about it. I want to start doing my live streams typically around the afternoon, and obviously that's going to come within time. As you guys know, fall season is almost here. When the fall season starts, way more live streams happen. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's stopping by watching it live. If you guys aren't watching it live and maybe you're watching it on demand, that is totally cool too. Appreciate you. A couple things that you could do to support the show, support the stream, support the channel. You can just simply like it. If you simply like it, that helps a lot. It doesn't require any money or anything like that. But if you guys have questions or comments or anything you guys want that's read on the stream, you could drop a super chat or become a member, or you could gift a membership. And then they'll basically get your comments pulled up. So shout out to everybody stopping in. We are live on Twitch, X, and YouTube. So appreciate you all for tuning in across various platforms. Yeah, some very interesting stuff, right? AEW All In. A lot of people are going to have mixed opinions on it. I haven't been tweeting much, so let me start off by saying that I haven't been tweeting much, and the reason why I haven't really been tweeting much is because I don't really care for Twitter anymore. I don't really care to tweet my opinions anymore. But I do love watching wrestling, and I do love live streaming, and I feel like live streaming is going to be like the main thing where I really get my thoughts out. And truth be told, I thought All In was sick. Like, I thought it was a good show. I thought All In was a great show. And yeah, it wasn't perfect. I mean, I don't think every booking decision was a great booking decision. I don't think every match was a great match, but I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, I thought All In was exactly what it needed to be. And there's a lot of people on social media these days, and typically when they're on social media and they're talking about these wrestling companies, you're seeing the tribalism, you're seeing all this stuff. People are hate watching shows, and that's not me. I've always been one to be very open and honest about what I'm feeling in the moment, because everything that I do is typically in the moment, right? And yesterday when I did the All In, like when I was watching All In, there was things that like I just genuinely enjoyed watching. And I'm kind of happy to see that 2024 AEW has been much more enjoyable for me than it was in the last 2 years, you know? But in the moment when I was watching AEW All In, I was like, okay, this is great. Now, let me just start off about the things I absolutely did not like. Okay? Because I just want to get that out of the way. I understand why Tony Khan did a 16-man tag team match on the pre-show. 0 hour. Like, I totally understand why that was even a thing. Tony Khan is doing his best to get everybody a chance on a stadium show. And I appreciate that, and I respect the hell out of that. I don't like the 16-man tag team match. I don't like it at all. To me, that was just like a very big, like, Tony Khan just trying to get everybody on there. I didn't like that. I also just didn't like 0 hour in general, if you want me to be honest. Because then we also get the match with Ishii and Willow Nightingale versus Stokely and Chris Statlander. And I love them, bro. I love them all. Like, they're all great talent and stuff. But like, this is their WrestleMania, you know, like this is their grandest stage of them all. This is their big thing. Like, I really enjoyed like watching WrestleMania kickoff shows when WWE used to do them, like with the actual matches and stuff. With this, I just feel like this is all filler stuff and like no purpose at all, which I guess like it's fine. But I thought it was hilarious when Stokely Hathaway hit a spine buster on Ishii. So I do want to at least point out that was like a positive out of that match. And then, yeah, I really didn't care for the 10-man tag match at all. Like, you got Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes and the Von Erichs and Shibata. versus Brian Cage. What is it? Gates of Agony, Cage of Agony, whatever they're calling it now. And then obviously Undisputed Kingdom. Like, to me, this was AEW again, just trying to get as many people on the card as possible. And I respect that. And I'm glad with that. Like, that's crazy, to be honest. I think that's just a little too much, you know, like this was a bunch of meaningless stuff, which I guess technically speaking for those in the crowd, like watching it live, like, yeah, maybe it's a little bit cool because you get some extra matches to watch before the actual pay-per-view starts. And I get that. And like, that's fine. But I didn't like it from the perspective of like sitting at home and watching it. So I just want to get that out of the way. I'm not a big fan of the 0 hour and how they do it. I did want to give props though. And I was kind of confused about this, but Jamie Hayter came back on the pre-show. And that was a little bit interesting to me. At first, I was thinking, okay, kind of a head scratcher, right? Like having Jamie Hayter. So basically what they have is they have Saraya come to the ring. Basically, she's not happy that she's not on the card. Cool. Fair. She's obviously, you know, hometown hero type of thing. But I don't like the idea of, I didn't like the idea of Jamie Hayter coming back on the pre-show at all. Like that to me was not cool. Like in the moment, that's what I was thinking. I was like, that's not cool. I don't know why, but in the moment, I didn't think it was cool. Now, 24 hours later, it actually made a lot of sense. There was a lot of things that happened at All In. Had they done an angle like this midway through the show or something like that, it wouldn't have worked. But I love the idea that Jamie Hayter is back. I love the fact that she went after Saraya. Like I said, at the time, I thought it was kind of weird that it was like, I thought it was weird that it was on the pre-show. A day later, I totally understand it. It makes a lot of sense and I'm cool with it. That's fine. Jamie Hayter is impressive, man. Like the minute that she even arrived in AEW the first time, years and years ago, to what she is now, like we've seen the evolution of Jamie Hayter. And I'm very comfortable saying, like, if there was one thing that AEW All In did for me specifically with AEW, it got me a little bit more excited for the future of AEW. Because part of what AEW's biggest issue has been throughout the years, guys, is that they'll have a big show with big moments and then there's nothing to get excited about after. That's a little bit different this time. Like the women's division for the first time in AEW actually feels like there's like some real depth to it. There's some real importance to it. And then also you have to factor in like some of these key signings that they've had. We don't know how everybody's going to be in the shuffle. Like Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa, you know, like they had some stuff going on TV, but then like nothing really followed through after that. But now that you see all the pieces are coming together, maybe it's a little bit different because of the sole fact that you have Jamie Hayter coming out, getting a big pop. Whether or not you like Saraya, like people are going to watch what she's doing. And then you got Mercedes and Britt and all these other things. And we'll obviously talk about that in just a little bit. But that is something I did want to point out. Like I was actually pretty happy about that. We did get a couple super chats, so I do want to read those. Shout out to Phil Batway for $4.99. He says AEW All In is a good show. Probably their best pay-per-view in the last 2 years. I mean, I was going to hold off on saying this, to be honest, but I actually thought AEW All In was probably their best pay-per-view that they ever had, which I know is probably going to be met with some huge disagreements. However, I've been to several AEW pay-per-views. I've experienced them in a suite. I've experienced them very, very close to the ring. I've had those experiences going to AEW. And like as a newer company, 5 years in, like they've had some great pay-per-views. And I've actually always, I mean, everybody knows this if you watch my content. I always say like, damn, their pay-per-views are amazing. And then their TV is kind of like, you know, not always the best. I thought All In was a great show. I would put it up there as one of the top pay-per-views that they've had. Honestly, ever. That's because I feel like there's also been more good booking decisions than bad booking decisions. And I'll get to that because I look at everything. I look at it from the perspective of like the pace of the show. I look at it from the perspective of how the show is like produced and like, you know, that type of stuff, presentation, visualization. I look at it from that perspective as well as the in-ring perspective. I look at it from the perspective of the storytelling and the stories going into the card. This pay-per-view had a lot more stories built up or a little bit more of a backstory than previous pay-per-views. So it's definitely up there for me. And I do also want to point out, Phil, like if you look at the last 2 years of AEW, they could have had inconsistent TV, but they had some great pay-per-views. But some of those pay-per-views didn't have necessarily the best stories, or they didn't necessarily end the pay-per-view in a way that makes me more excited to see what the future holds. And I think maybe that's one of the big differences here is like All In at least got me more excited to say, hey, where does this storyline go? Where does this person go from here? And whatnot. And there's actually a lot of that. There's a lot of that on this card. So as I talk about the matches and stuff, we'll definitely mention that. Phil, thank you for the $4.99. Rob dropped a $2 super chat. Have added a women's rumble for the championship. I'm assuming that you mentioned, I'm assuming that you're mentioning or trying to mention that they should have added a women's rumble for the championship. I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that. I definitely don't know if I would have. I don't know if I would have done that, to be honest. But that's just my opinion because they did a 16-man tag match and then a 10-man tag match. I don't know. Me personally, I don't know. I don't want to say steal an idea from the WWE, but maybe doing something like Andre the Giant Battle Royal. You know, they do the Owen Hart tournament. They do the Continental Classic tournament. Maybe doing some sort of battle royal in honor of somebody. I don't know. They have 15 trillion title belts in their company. Like you could have done a battle royal for number one contendership, but the problem is they just did the casino battle royale, Royal Rampage thing, whatever they call it, during War Games, and Darby Allin won that, and you got to factor that in too. But I don't know if I would have added a Rumble for a women's championship, but maybe a number one contendership or something. They could have definitely done that. Rob, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. So let's talk about the London ladder match for the AEW World Trios titles. Okay, so I thought this was great. Castagnoli, Pac, and Wheeler Yuta, they won. Really cool seeing Pac win and like actually grab the titles too. I wanted to say this though. I don't understand. I can't fathom the idea of House of Black not being at like the top of this division. I don't know. I don't know. This is another match, multi-man match. You got 4 tag teams. House of Black not winning, I thought was really odd. I thought that was really strange. Fun match, great match. I mean, in-ring stuff, it's great. I'm okay with the winners being Pac, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio. Like, that's fine. Fun match to watch. Obviously, Pac wasn't part of All In last year, so now he was part of it this year. So that was cool. I was excited to at least see that. Pac got a great moment, but yes, I definitely think the decision, not even the decision, but I just find it so odd that House of Black is just like not a bigger deal in AEW, or at least at the very minimum, Malachi Black. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about it specifically, but for some reason, I just find it very odd that Pac is like, okay, he's teaming with Wheeler and Claudio, and that's cool, and you give him the moment, but at the same time, too, there's other people being impacted by the booking. And maybe this is one of those situations where like I'm overreacting, but I feel like Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy, like they're too good to kind of just be filler, you know? But overall, I thought the match was great. Like, I don't know if I would ever, I don't really grade matches or like rank matches or give them like a ranking. And maybe that's something I should start doing. Honestly, if that is something you guys want, like, I'm not Dave Meltzer. The way I view wrestling matches is completely different from the way other people critique wrestling matches. But maybe I should like come up with my own scale and rank matches. I guess for the sole purpose of like this live stream, I would say this match was probably like a B, a good solid B. I also don't know what it is too. I just want to say, okay, yeah, okay, this is cool. I like this. So Israel says a thumbs up or thumbs down. Yeah, no, like my thumb is up on this. Like it's a good match. It's a fine booking. Like completely fine. I would have done things a little bit differently, but yeah. I also want to give props to the Guns. Like those guys are freaking awesome. Absolutely love it. So yeah. The next match that I want to talk about, Toni Storm versus Mariah May. Believe it or not, this actually was going to be my match of the night until the very main event. Toni Storm versus Mariah May was just absolutely incredible. This is, if I had to give this match a grade, it's an A+. It's a thumbs up. It's a 10 out of 10. Like it's such an incredible match. This match probably had one of the best stories going into the pay-per-view in general. Earlier I was talking about like the AEW women's division kind of like being like so much more depth and just so much more important now. Shout out to Toni Storm and Mariah May being the one to like carry this and like really be a big thing. Like, dude, I swear to God, I might be the type of guy to say that this match was an instant classic. Because that's kind of what it felt like. Like this felt great. The atmosphere was great. The storytelling in this match was great. Like, there was a lot of cool stuff. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. There was just a lot of cool moments in this match that made it great. But the atmosphere was huge. I think the atmosphere made this feel like a very big time match. This was one of the strongest stories going into the pay-per-view. This was one of the best ways to keep your women's division looking strong. Because my biggest fear was with Mercedes holding the secondary title that it might feel more important than this. And I could confidently say that Toni Storm and Mariah May feels more important than Mercedes and Britt Baker. Mariah May winning the championship. I mean, if you ever seen like her come up in professional wrestling, like congrats to her because she absolutely killed it. But this is one of those things where I feel like this felt like a bigger deal than Britt and Mercedes. And that's huge, but it really just ties down to the atmosphere. Obviously Mariah May became the new champion. And again, going back to what I was saying about like, there's things that I want to get excited about for the future after a pay-per-view. This is one of those things where 1,000,000%, 1,000,000%, like, yes, I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. One of the things that I didn't like about this pay-per-view, okay, yeah, let's talk about it. Hook versus Chris Jericho. I'm not trying to be a dickhead. I want to be completely honest with you guys. Hook and Chris Jericho have been doing this shit forever. I feel like this was a never-ending feud. Hook defeats Chris Jericho. Shout out to Chris Jericho for putting him over. I mean, that's good booking. Thumbs up on the booking. Even the match isn't that bad. I just don't think this was worthy of All In, maybe. I don't know. Like, I felt like they could have just done this on TV and that's it. I don't know what it is. Shout out to the fact that the fans love Big Bill. Like, I think they need to separate Big Bill and Jericho. That was like my main takeaway from this. Like, Big Bill, people love him. Yeah, people love Big Bill. I don't know. I feel like they just get Big Bill away from the learning tree. I think Chris Jericho is a good veteran. He understands exactly what he's doing here. The match was fine. Hook winning's the right decision. This was just like one of those things where it's like, does it really need to be on the card? Does it really need to be on the card? No, I don't think so. And that's really what it comes down to. Like, my big gripe with AEW, by the way, is like, you're trying to get everybody on the card. You're trying to do things, but this was a never-ending story that should have never even went in as long as it did. I did love the fact that Taz got involved in this match, though. I did want to point that out. I thought Taz being involved in the match was awesome. Smart decision. Just kind of like Taz and Hook having their moment. Just like, it's cool. I love Chris Jericho. I appreciate Chris Jericho's contributions to pro wrestling. I have a lot of respect for Chris Jericho as a fan of Chris Jericho, as a fan of professional wrestling, as a kid that grew up watching Chris Jericho. I don't think he's bad at all in the slightest. I just hate the learning tree gimmick. I really do. And I think maybe that's why I was like, okay, like, I'm not really like anything. Listen, if this is the end of the feud, if this is the end of the rivalry, which I assume it is, it's fine. Let's get past this and let's move on. But I do want to say one thing about the FTW title, and I know it got brought up in the post-match scrum or the post-media scrum. To me, the FTW championship should be done from television. Hook has done enough to elevate after this whole feud with Chris Jericho and the stuff that he did with Samoa Joe, right? We've seen those things. Like, we could acknowledge those things. I just want to point this out, that I think the FTW championship should go away and Hook should find himself fighting for another championship. Put him in the TNT title, put him in the Continental Classic title, put him, whatever you want to do. Like, get him away from that. Don't let this guy's whole thing be solely based on FTW championship, because I feel like the FTW championship is basically floated around Hook and Jericho, and just like, it's time to get away from that. We did get another super chat, so let's go look at that before we move on. Phil, shout out to Phil. He says, for a $4.99 super chat, I thought All In was a great show. The only match I felt was a weird decision was Christian winning the Gauntlet. It was great, and then Christian wins. Yeah, so Phil, I'm gonna bring your super chat back up when I get to that match, because I have a lot to say about that. And I want to be cognizant of your super chat. So I'm not ignoring your super chat. I agree. When I get to that match, I'm going to pull it back up. Hopefully you understand. The next match, the three-way dance for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. This was good, man. The Young Bucks defeated FTR and the Acclaimed. I like it. Great tag team match. Personally speaking, like, I thought this was great. I thought it had its great spots. I thought it was everything that it needed to be. The Young Bucks are the tag team champions. They were walking out as the tag team champions. I don't think the tag title should be on FTR, and I don't think the tag title should be on the Acclaimed. I've been saying this for a couple years now. Anthony Bowens should be a singles champion. So I think Max Caster, like, I'm not a fan of Max Caster. I don't know what it is about Max Caster. I'm not a fan of him anymore. Something about this guy has completely turned me off. And I just want it to be known, the Young Bucks winning here is the right decision. But I do want to say something, because I feel like this is important. Remember how I talk about what happens after a match or after a pay-per-view should get me excited for what's happening in the future? The grizzled young veterans going face-to-face with the Young Bucks and then attacking FTR was great. I talked about it in my video today. I know some of you may have not watched it yet because I uploaded it, a little bit before the stream. So if you guys didn't watch it, I talk about Kevin Owens leaving the WWE potentially. The grizzled young veterans have appeared to have signed with AEW officially. They have some sort of agreement. I want to be perfectly clear here that I say this correctly. I really love the grizzled young veterans. They're awesome. At Wembley Stadium, attacking FTR. I think it's time that we might be able to get excited about the tag team division. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm getting excited about the possibility of the tag team division flourishing. I don't want to see grizzled young veterans doing throwaway matches on Rampage or Collision. I want to see them on Dynamite. I want to see them face to face with FTR. I want to see them feud with the Young Bucks. Let the Acclaimed break up. Let's see how good Max Caster could be as a singles guy. Let's see Anthony Bowens as a singles guy. Anthony Bowens could be a singles guy going for the TNT Championship. Let GYV run the ship for the tag team division. You could get some really good feuds out of that. That would be exciting to me. Love those guys. And I thought it was great seeing them. I was shocked, right? Nice little surprise. So the match gets a thumbs up for me, though. I definitely don't look at it as a bad match or anything like that. Just a couple things. Let's go to Rob, who drops another $2 super chat. Do you believe they should put belts on Collision? Yeah, I mean, title matches should be defended on Rampage, Collision, Dynamite, pay-per-views, 1000%. And really, like, I mean, I'm going to say this a million times. I've said it a million times. I'm going to say it a million times. I've said it since day one a million times. I'm not going to shy away from this at all. I really do genuinely believe that AEW has to do a brand split. I do. And if that pisses people off, I don't really care. That would solve a lot of problems for them. It would be a really good decision for AEW to do that. Collision and Dynamite are the two shows that matter. Rampage doesn't matter to me. I don't care what media people say it does. For AEW, it's just extra content. Extra content means a little bit extra money with your TV deal. That's typically how it works. But let's just be really clear on that. Collision and Dynamite should be the two shows. Raw, SmackDown, those are the two main shows. Rampage could be whatever. Plus they got ROH and stuff. Title matches should be on Collision, Dynamite, Rampage. If Rampage is going to stick around, have title matches on there. And they do that too. But you got to have some big feuds going into those matches too. You got to have some good stories going into title matches, not just title eliminator type shit. There's too many titles in AEW for them to not be split up. And they have a huge roster, too big of a roster for where it's like, it should not, they should be split up. Brand split, title split, like everything down the middle. 100%. Thank you, Rob. Let's go back to Phil's super chat. We got to talk about the Casino Gauntlet match. I love Casino Gauntlet matches. I love this match entirely from beginning to end. We saw Jamie Hayter make a surprise in the pre-show. We saw Grizzled Young Veterans make their surprise. We'll obviously talk about some other surprises that happened throughout the night. We got the debut of Ricochet. We got the return of Nigel McGuinness, which absolutely awesome to see. I love the Casino Gauntlet match. Orange Cassidy, Okada, Nigel, Kyle O'Reilly, Zack Sabre Jr., Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe, Hangman Page, Jeff Jarrett, Ricochet, Christian Cage, Luchasaurus. Like, it's a good lineup. Ricochet making his debut was great. I'm scratching my head at Christian Cage winning. Like, I love Christian Cage. I have no problem with Christian Cage being a top guy in AEW. But I am very sick and tired of this type of thing where you have, look how many people are in this match that could benefit from that massive singles match against Bryan Danielson. Because obviously Bryan Danielson's champion. So the whole thing with Christian and Luchasaurus, like, I just don't like the finish. I don't like this patriarchy thing having such a big impact on stuff. Nigel McGuinness got his moment. I loved watching him and Zack Sabre Jr. That was really cool. Nigel, it's been 10, 15 years since he's wrestled. Like, I was very glad that we got that. And I'm not saying Nigel should have won the match, but like Okada not winning, Zack Sabre Jr., who just won the G1, not winning, Hangman Page not winning. Okay, like, those are some top guys, right? But then you have Ricochet debut and he doesn't win. So I don't know, man. Like, Ricochet not winning. I'm not saying Ricochet needs to immediately go for a world title match. But Ricochet, just like, his debut was wasted in the Gauntlet. And I feel like maybe that was my issue with it. However, what I will say this, though. Ricochet, awesome. Love his package. Love the way that they debuted him. Just don't like the finish. I thought this match was a huge thumbs up. Like, this would have been like an A+ match. But having Christian win is just so weird. I don't know how I feel about this at all. Bro, what the hell happened with Jeff Jarrett, by the way? Jeff Jarrett got a massive pop. How is Jeff Jarrett getting such a massive pop in 2024? I don't know. But I figured I'd mention that. Jeff Jarrett got a massive pop. I know some people don't like the idea of him being in the match, but Jeff Jarrett's doing a lot of stuff for AEW in the background too, and he's not taking up like TV time from up and comers. He's not like Jeff Jarrett's. I like it. I like it. Phil also mentioned in the chat, I want to pull this up. He says, I get it. Danielson's father is no longer with us and they will use that again, but why? Brother, if you're booking your matches for one line in a promo, for a future promo, like, come on. I mean, maybe Christian's the winner because it's a safe bet for Bryan Danielson, you know? But yeah, to me personally, I just feel like this was probably the worst decision of the night, actually. Christian, and I hate saying that because I love Christian. I'm a huge fan of Christian Cage, but like, I just did not like the way this match ended. I mean, okay, like, I'm not saying you got to have a New Japan guy, but like Hangman Page is kind of like just floating around right now. I don't know. Felt very weird. Phil, thank you for the super chat, by the way. Thank you. Yeah, that match was like great match. Thumbs up. Hated the finish. Really hated the finish. What else am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting some matches. Oh, Will Ospreay and MJF. Yeah, we should probably talk about this. Will Ospreay and MJF was freaking sick, bro. I actually thought MJF would retain. He didn't retain. I love it. I love the fact that Will Ospreay hit the Tiger Driver 91. Maybe a little bit predictable because obviously the whole stuff with Brian and like talking about it. But yeah, let's be really clear on that. This was a freaking like amazing match. MJF doing the Lex Luger tights, right? Shorts, tights, whatever you want to call them. MJF proving to people that he is a great wrestler. He, you know, I feel like a lot of people are sick and tired of MJF because of his promos constantly being the same. But yeah, no, this is cool. Like MJF and Will Ospreay was just freaking awesome, dude. I don't know. This is like one of those things, great story going into it. Will Ospreay got the Assassin's Creed entrance. I don't know. There's something about this match that I feel like a lot of people will probably respect both guys. I feel like Will Ospreay had some great promos going up to the match. And then obviously we all know Will Ospreay is a great wrestler, but his promos were really good. MJF's promos, on the other hand, weren't as good in my opinion, but his wrestling is just like, it was really cool. I like this. I like this a lot. What's crazy though was we had the surprise of Daniel Garcia. And I said this in my video. Daniel Garcia is not signed to the company after October as of right now. So we don't know what's going to happen there. We don't know if Daniel Garcia will resign. But I like that surprise. I like the fact that he cost MJF the win. Yeah. Excuse me. I thought Daniel Garcia, and I said this in my video, you want Daniel Garcia to be a big guy in AEW? It's very simple. You have him go over MJF. This is another moment in the show that I was like, I'm excited to watch Dynamite. I'm excited to watch Dynamite because now we're going to have two things happen, right? We got Ricochet in the Gauntlet match, and probably Ricochet and Will Ospreay is going to be happening soon. MJF versus Daniel Garcia at All Out or something, right? Like MJF and Daniel Garcia, you got to build towards that on TV. This could be like your Wardlow moment. You made Wardlow into a huge star when you did the storyline with MJF. Daniel Garcia could break out right now if he goes over MJF. So love that. I did not expect that to be so good. I expected the match to be so good, but I didn't expect like the finish and everything to be so good. So I absolutely love that. And just a great surprise, right? Garcia, somebody in AEW has a big moment, takes off the mask. It's him, buzzed head. Again, he hasn't re-signed with the company just yet. I expect him to be in the company. You guys should watch that video for more thoughts on that, but definitely some cool shit there. Yeah, thumbs up for sure. I thought it was a waste of money to do the American title for 3 weeks or whatever the hell it was, but it all made sense and it was a great storyline, and Ospreay and MJF are great. So Yeah. I see some people in the chat, they're talking about Wardlow's a huge star. No. What I'm saying was they created Wardlow into a huge star with this feud with MJF. How they followed up with that was garbage. And I've said that a trillion times on this channel. I've made that very fucking clear that they did not have good follow through with Wardlow. This could be the same thing. You could turn Daniel Garcia into a massive star if you have him go over MJF. But it's what you do after. It's not whether or not you do the right booking decision. It's literally what you do after. That is the most important part. And that's where I don't have a lot of confidence in AEW because it's something that we've seen time and time again. But that's my point. Let's talk about Mercedes versus Britt Baker. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. I wasn't too thrilled with this match during the match. Had some storytelling. I think I expected better. Yeah, I don't know. I expected better. I don't think the crowd cares. I don't know if I see Britt Baker being in AEW in the long haul. I mean, quite frankly, if you guys want me to be honest, I don't think Adam Cole and Britt Baker stay in AEW long term. Like, I think Adam Cole and Britt Baker eventually go to WWE. I do think that happens. Britt Baker losing to Mercedes Moné. I'm not a fan of Mercedes in AEW. And I wish I could say more about this. Mercedes is one of my favorites of all time, honestly. Like, Sasha Banks is like, I love her work. I love her presentation. I love her abilities. And there was something about this match. It was not hitting for me. Not hitting for me. Not hitting for me at all. And this is your TBS championship. But, you know, it's like if you look at Mercedes, I feel like the Sasha Banks identity really helped her. I'm not sure if people like this Mercedes CEO gimmick. I think the match was a little bit sloppy. I don't know if that's a chemistry thing. I don't know. Something was off about it. I have a lot of respect for both ladies. I think both ladies are great. There was just something wrong with this. Let's move on from this. Maybe the placement on the card has a lot to do with it too. I don't know. I did not like this. Simple as that. Thumbs down. I don't even want to waste more time talking about that. It's weird. It's weird that I feel that way because Mercedes and Britt are like two of my favorites. But something was off about that entire match. And the reality is Toni Storm and Mariah May felt like the bigger match anyways. So when you look at match placements and stuff like that, this is Mercedes being built up as like the big deal. And I don't think people, I don't know if I would say people are rejecting it, but I think the AEW audience doesn't care. And in turn, it results in the crowd. Which, by the way, the crowd was pretty great all night. And the crowd didn't really give a shit about that match. So that is something that you got to factor in. I love this match. I can't believe I'm saying this. You guys know me. I absolutely don't like Jack Perry. But the coffin match between Darby Allin and Jack Perry was fucking awesome. I know some people are going to have their things to say about the glass and this and that and blah, 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 blah. Jack Perry wins the match. He retains against Darby Allin. I fucking love it. I love it. It's so weird that I'm the guy saying I love it because I've been very critical about Jack Perry, but I also mentioned it recently. Like, this guy's starting to come around. It's cool, bro. This is fucking awesome. You know what's even better is that Sting returned to help make the save. And I don't know what the hell Sting's going to do. Kind of curious to see what Sting's going to do. But Darby Allin losing is the right thing. Jack Perry winning's the right thing. The whole thing with like the flames. Like, look, dude, you're doing a fucking coffin match, okay? You got all this crazy shit going on in the match. It's not for everybody, especially for me. I'm not really into like all the fucking glass and all this weaponry. Like I don't always need something like that, you know. But there was a moment in this match where I was watching it. And I was like, okay, like these two guys are really just putting it out there, you know. You get the post match stuff. You got Sting coming in. Like it's cool. It's cool. Jack Perry is clearly riding the wave of Cry Me a River. 1 year anniversary from the first time it happened. A lot of talk about real glass, right? I don't know. I see some people complain on social media about like time constraints or like maybe it was being rushed or cut off. I thought it was a great pace. I thought it was a fun match. I thought exactly what it needed to do. You want to make Jack Perry feel like a big deal. Jack Perry's starting to feel like a big deal. As a guy who didn't like Jack Perry, as a guy who thought he should have just been Jungle Boy for the longest time, yeah, I was pretty happy about this. Overall, this was a great match. I give it a thumbs up. I also want to say, too, Darby Allin losing is not that big of a deal, but Darby Allin won the Royal Rampage. Now Darby Allin isn't winning at All In. I'm confused by Darby Allin's booking. So I'll put that out there. Last match I want to talk about, unless I'm forgetting one, Bryan Danielson versus Swerve Strickland. Let's talk about that. Fucking golden match. A++++. Match of the night. I thought Mariah May and Toni Storm was match of the night literally up until this match. And this was fucking awesome. Like, I don't know how else to tell you guys. Like, this match is exactly what AEW needed. Swerve Strickland, I think, shit on all of his naysayers, all of the negative Nancys out there that say that he can't be a top guy, can't be a top champion. This made me feel like maybe, just maybe, Swerve would actually win. Very, very strong storyline going into the match, so it obviously made everything better. Bryan Danielson kicking out 1 trillion times. The element of family. Brie Garcia. Brie Bella, right? His kids, Bryan's kids being there. Yeah, like this was one of those things where I genuinely felt like match of the night. You got Hangman Page getting involved in a little bit. That's interesting to me. Maybe Hangman and Swerve gets revisited. I don't know. But obviously the conclusion ends with Bryan Danielson winning the celebration. You know, and I love this moment because when you see Cody win at WrestleMania 40, the WWE Championship, it felt like such a big deal. When you see this happen at All In, it feels like a big deal. And I'm sorry to say this. Bryan Danielson didn't need to win. Swerve was doing a great job as champion. But the fact that Bryan Danielson won and he did it in the fashion that he did, it made Swerve feel like a bigger deal than ever. Like, I don't want to hear anybody tell me that Swerve is not a top guy. This was the Swerve that I thought he could be years ago. There was a time period on YouTube when I got fucking buried for saying that Swerve coming in as a tag team guy with Keith Lee was a dumb decision. I got buried for this because I specifically talked about how Swerve should be a world champion. And I will find those clips and I will post them. So when I see Swerve and Bryan Danielson put on match of the night, potentially match of the year, we still got a couple months left, but definitely in the conversation for match of the year, huge. The atmosphere, the wrestling, the storytelling, the character work. Swerve is so freaking good at the character work, but it only works when you have a dance partner who is equally as good. And I thought both of these guys absolutely killed it. Match of the night for sure. Like, I don't know how anybody could have watched this pay-per-view and say that it's bad. Like, even the stuff that I did complain about, like, bro, there is way more good than bad. Way more good than bad. But this is great. Like, this is what AEW needed. 50,000 people. Like, 50,000 people were there. We didn't get Bobby Lashley. We didn't get MVP. We didn't get Shane McMahon. But we got Jamie Hayter. We got grizzled young veterans. We got Ricochet. We got Sting. This felt like an AEW pay-per-view. It didn't feel like AEW trying to be something else. And it's pretty cool watching an AEW pay-per-view on the magnitude of 50,000 people in attendance. I don't know how somebody could sit there and be upset or disappointed in that. I don't know why, if you're a WWE fan, you would be mad that another company did it. Because guess what, friends? There's people leaving AEW for WWE, and there's people leaving WWE for AEW. That's the reality. Whether you like it or not, that is the reality. So the good thing about that is the fact that with AEW and WWE existing, and both of them are doing stadium shows, I want this to happen. I mean, AEW announced Grand Slam Australia. So, like, that's another 50,000 seat potential venue. Like, I think this is like a good thing. Again, this feels a little too familiar for me. There's been a lot of times in AEW history where a pay-per-view was freaking good. Okay? Really good. And then what ends up happening is that right after, things go downhill. I did not want to see that. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'm going to hope that AEW continues with some momentum. I'm going to hope that I feel like they did enough to keep me interested. But yeah, should be very interesting to see what happens next. Shout out to everybody who dropped a super chat and everybody who joined us live. If you are listening to this on demand, I thank you as well. The number one thing that you can do, and it would be so greatly appreciated, would be if you were to like the stream. And of course, we're going to start putting these out on Spotify and Apple again. So feel free to support. I'm thinking 12 o'clock afternoon streams are going to be the new move going forward. I don't know just yet, but I did a poll and that's what people were talking about. So we'll see. I'm still trying to figure it out. It's very hard trying to balance work-life schedules, and this is my job, so I'm trying to figure out the schedule. I do want to do Raw reviews and stuff too, so we'll figure it out. Phil dropped a $9.99 super chat. He says that ending where Brian's family was celebrating was amazing. Him when he was the right call to me. Swerve will be fine. Maybe he retires in Washington at Wrestle Dream. Who would you put over there? That's a great super chat. Especially when you consider Wrestle Dream, like, who do you have put, like, Bryan Danielson put over, bro? Like, I know the other day we were talking about Darby Allin possibly being the guy to get a championship, but do you really want Darby to beat Bryan? When you think of the next two people in line to compete for the title, it's Darby Allin won the Royal Rampage, so he's next in line. Then Christian won the Casino Gauntlet, so then he's technically next in line. If Bryan Danielson is not retiring and he's not vacating the belt, and let's just say Bryan gets to Wrestle Dream in Washington, I think Bryan should put over Daniel Garcia. I swear to God. Daniel Garcia should be the guy. I know that's not going to be liked. I know a lot of people won't agree with that. But if you really want to do something crazy, get people talking, package Daniel Garcia. Have him go over MJF and have him beat Bryan. The problem is that's not going to happen. I already know that's not going to happen. If anything, they'll probably do Will Ospreay. I could see Will Ospreay being the guy. I mean, if you think about it, Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson, like, it makes a lot of sense. But that's a tough one. Yeah, definitely the right call. What they do at Wrestle Dream, I don't know if he makes it that long. I don't think it should be Darby Allin. I mean, if you want, you could have, if Adam Cole's coming back and you want to re-cement him as the top guy, you could do that. But a lot of time has passed since Adam Cole has been on TV. I don't know if Adam Cole will be the top guy. I would never be upset against the idea of Hangman Page being in the mix. You know? So maybe that could be the case. Kenny Omega wouldn't be a bad idea if he's coming back. I see Sandman just drop that in there. I could see that being the case. Kenny wouldn't be a bad idea. But if Bryan's going to retire and drop the belt, do you want him to put over an up-and-coming star or somebody who's established? I think you put over an up-and-coming star. And then the thing is, if Daniel Garcia is champion, you can always have Darby Allin beat him for the belt, and that's how you get the belt on Darby. That's how I'm looking at it. Very curious to see how people respond to this in the on-demand comment section. So that's gonna be how we leave the stream tonight. If you guys are watching this on demand, drop a comment. Who do you guys think Bryan Danielson should drop the belt to? I'm picking the risky answer of Daniel Garcia. Obviously, I hope that he beats MJF, and that's what it leads to. But you guys can let me know down below. Phil, thank you for the super chats again. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude our stream. It is 1 p.m. Eastern. I appreciate all of you guys for stopping by, liking the stream, super chats, all of these different things. I appreciate it. I want to get back to live streaming a lot more often. I'm trying to figure it out. Really struggling to figure it out, to be honest. But that's kind of how it is during the summer. We're getting back into the fall season. So yeah, hopefully I'll be live tomorrow at 12. That's kind of the plan. But we'll figure it out. All in, great show, thumbs up, super happy for them. Presentation was good. The pyro, the entrances, everything felt like a big deal. Presentation was really good. Loved it. 50,000 fans. Shout out to the UK for constantly bringing the noise. International shows are the best, regardless of the company. So very excited about it. I look forward to seeing how I feel Wednesday on Dynamite. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next time.